And all right, Mom will be happy. Okay, whenever you are ready.
Awesome. Hello everybody. Thank you for coming to our session today. This is Kate O'Brien. She's a teacher in Exeter and from all over the place, really, right?
This is my 18th zip code.
Yeah.
Not by choice, but it's going to be my last one. Yeah.
So, and then French horn primarily, but
primarily French horn.
Studio work everywhere from woodwinds to brass. To...
If you blow it, I teach it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but yes.
So thank you again for coming to our session, and without further ado, so Brian.
You know what? Give me 2 seconds, talk amongst yourselves. I just realized I don't have my presentation on this one. Okay, here we go. I went to a concert in November 2021. It was a colleague of mine. And I watched as the choir go up. It was the freshman choir. They went up on stage, and they were socially distanced, which was super great. And then I was looking for the rest of the kids. And all of a sudden, they started singing. And all I could think was, what is going on? This is a school of 1,500 kids, about 375 freshmen, and 3.7 of the freshmen were in freshman choir, which is really low. The orchestra came on, and there were 19 kids. I figured they'd be falling off the stage because you start strings in like first grade with one of those little 1/16 size violins, and I figured they would stay with it, but there were 19 kids, and that would be 1.2% of the student population. I felt sick. I felt shaky. I felt confused. So I went home from the concert, and I started emailing and contacting all my friends and colleagues all over the world. You know exactly what I mean. Musicians are like 2 steps away from every other musician in the world. And then the next morning I started to get responses trickling back in. And I had asked, hey, is this just us? Or is this happening everywhere? And it was happening everywhere. And I talked to people who had lost 40% of their students. I talked to somebody who lost 60% of their students. And I talked to somebody in Brooklyn when they were cleaning out their desk because their community music program had just been shuttered an hour ago. So he lost 100%. And this was in November, and I went home and I started writing. Now, I have no reason to be doing this because I teach beginners. As soon as they do, instrument testing, they'll start coming into my studio and I'll be fine after not teaching for 2 years. But it just sat in my stomach because there were so many kids who we weren't going to reach. And it was heartbreaking to me. And I decided, if not me, then who? All the school music teachers are very busy trying to adapt and doing extra things, and why not take this on? So I started I did a couple interviews, and then a couple more, and then a couple more, and I've been working on this about straight through since November. And I just can't believe the things that I've learned about it. And again, forgive me for reading, the brain surgery just kind of made things a little slower. So, and this teacher is amazing. This school district is amazing. They're affluent, they have arts positive parents, they have a huge music budget. I went to see their musical and blown away, completely blown away. And this teacher is just exemplary. She's running around somewhere, I won't name her by name, but she holds important positions. She's a great teacher and everything that I would want my child to experience. And if this is happening with her, that's pretty scary. So, and don't worry about taking notes. I'm going to probably take a day or two to recover after this, and then I'm going to write down, fill out my notes from this, and all of our ideas and ideas from the brainstorming session that we'll spend the last 10 or 15 minutes on, okay? So it'll be in a Google Doc on the New Hampshire MEA site, okay? All right, and I'm really looking for the hive mind. So come up with your craziest things. As I talk, if you come up with something really awesome, just, jot it down or try to remember it, tie a string around your finger, whatever. So this is what we're looking like right now in a lot of places. And that scares the crap out of me. 44%, almost half, more than a third of the students that of the teachers that I talk to, of my research pool, are gone. They're just gone. And there's a lot of reasons that are going on. COVID just killed us. The song American Pie, the day the music died was March 13th, 2020. And we're never gonna get this time back. But we can come up with ideas to bring those kids back to us, to bring new kids back to us, and to strengthen our programs enough so that the administrators don't have a reason to say, you're losing a lot of kids and your band is really small, and do you really need to be here? Because that's critically important that we keep our jobs. And when I thought of all the kids, the children, all I could think was, this is so unfair to them. The best parts of my life were playing my French horn and singing, and they're missing out on this, or they're not getting a full experience. And that just, it was too much for me. So I started writing. You guys all understand that the natural attrition rate of students happens as they age, especially when they go from 8th grade to freshman, because there's all these tantalizing activities in the high school. There's debate team, there's indoor soccer, there's computer lab, my son's school has a recording studio in it. And he does those videos of him playing videos, and people watch the videos of him playing videos. I don't get it, but keeps him happy and quiet, so we're good. And much of it was, kind of to be expected, but the whole thing was just too much. It was just too much. We were exhausted. We're still exhausted. I don't know about you, but when I finally saw the mask mandates, and please wear your masks if you're comfortable with that. But as soon as that was over, I was like, oh, I can stop thinking about it, finally. And then I realized, no, I really can't. I just am, not necessarily going to be walking around with a mask, especially here because you have to see me talk. Now, we're constantly faced with funding and staffing uncertainty in schools, just in general, because there's a lot of stuff going on. Budget cuts, tax cuts, or tax increases, and we don't want to give administrations any reason to do anything to our programs, because if they cut part of the program or the whole program, they're also going to cut the budget for music, and that French horn that they needed isn't going to be purchased, and that French horn student who is going to play that horn isn't going to have a reason to join band. And it just, and forgive me if I keep saying band, I'm trying to also say chorus and orchestra, because I'm in those too. I'm a middle school band director, so that's where my head is at. Now the current decrease is just terrifying, but if we can figure out the motivations behind it, and the reasons that, the ways we could bring people back, then that's going to be really helpful to all of us. And while you're listening, if anybody has really good penmanship and can write on one of these things for the brainstorming, please volunteer later, because you don't want to see me write. How we are being affected. The dropout of one first grade violinist will affect each of their potential school orchestras up through college until 2036. Now, this violinist has 2 friends in first grade, and they both play, and they take for another year, and their friend isn't in it, it's not as much fun anymore, those 2 drop. Well, then a 4th violinist will be playing almost alone, and they miss that sound and they miss that camaraderie, and it just isn't worth it anymore. So they leave. So this is one child, but the ripple effect goes far and wide. Let's see. COVID has decimated us, if not obliterated. Many of our school orchestra, band, and chorus performance ensemble, 44% is unfathomable. I mean, that's kind of like the call we got when we said no school for 2 weeks. What? That's never happened before. And we're in this situation where we have a lot of that's never happened before. The challenges of remote learning and the inability to create music together with their peers simply made it too frustrating for the many students who chose to drop out directly because of the pandemic and remote and hybrid learning. And the effects are being felt all the way from pre-K strings classes to university music departments. Just think about that. Think over the next 16 years, how many future us's are not going to exist? How many music teachers are not going to become music teachers? That's frightening. It's very frightening. One of the professors from UNH predicts that long before that date, the audition-only wind ensemble that I was in when I went to UNH is going to be comprised mostly of non-majors. It's something. Oh, I think it's air. I hope it's air conditioning. That would be really good. It's hot up here with that. So one of the first UNH classmates I spoke to has a job that she absolutely loves. She teaches every flavor and color of music at a small parochial school. Enrollment in every single ensemble has fallen by at least half. The overall loss has been 60%. She's making do with what she has now, but none of her groups have anything close to even instrumentation or voicing. And since it's not really a possibility to merge any of the bands, I mean, you can't join middle school choir with high school marching band. It just doesn't work. I can only imagine that there is a chance that the school might find that the fractured classes are simply not worth the price of a full-time music teacher's salary. And we depend on our jobs. We work hard, we do what we're supposed to, we go way above and beyond what we're supposed to all the time. And yet administrators and budget people are always kind of sus about us. Now, if she leaves, if she's forced to leave, or if she can't handle just doing half-time, there won't be a music teacher, there'll be no budget, and it'll make it impossible to start up again. Especially since any student who enjoys creating music will plan to go to a different school that actually has a music department. And again, this woman is a skilled and talented educator with more than 30 years of teaching experience at all levels. She was a mentor to me at UNH, and she's one of the best people I've ever known. She taught me so much when she was an upperclassman and I was a very clueless freshman, and she's earned my deepest respect over the years. And the thought of her school having a reason to consider closing the music department, resulting in the loss of her job and the possible difficulty finding a new position when so many other teachers are in the same place, it reminds me that there is no such thing as fair. Fair is where you go see big pumpkins in August. There's nothing fair about any of this. So I'm sure you have, I forgot to put this in there. Casey Goodwin, I spoke to her. She was one of the people who was kind enough to give me an online interview. And the most profound thing she said is, everyone is just sort of numb now. Who is numb in here? Anybody? Yeah, it's like it just keeps coming and coming and coming, and it's almost like it's not real anymore. So we'll move ahead to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now this is what we need to live. This is what we need in order to survive, to feel good, to feel comfortable. Come on up, there's seats right in here. And during COVID, our students didn't get a lot of these needs met. But you know what? We didn't either. Basic physiological needs were not met for some students or parents. Shelter, food, water, sleep, exercise, clothes. Who exercises during a pandemic? Yeah, I am easily carrying the COVID-19 right around here. We couldn't sleep. Some of us were shelter uncertain. Food was scary to go get. You go to the grocery store and wipe everything off with bleach cloths. Now the next level is safety needs, and the world was terrifyingly dangerous for nearly everyone. Our personal, emotional, and financial security was just out the window. Social belonging was non-existent for most. My son, who I'll reference a few times in this because he's really cute and awesome, was with me for 50 weeks as a 13-year-old. And many of you are going, oh my God. But he's a really super sweet kid, and that's one of the best gifts I've ever been given in my entire life. But it was incredibly hard on him. He's on the spectrum, and he needs those interactions with other people. It was kind of funny because everybody was wearing a mask, so they were hiding their face. You could only see their eyes. Everybody was 6 feet away. Nobody really knew what was going on because it changed from day to day, week to week. And he said, Mommy, this is just like everybody else is autistic, and I'm the one killing it. And I thought that was awesome. So the social belonging with companionship, belonging, connection, especially what we have in our incredible ensembles, just gone. The esteem, recognition, attention, feeling of accomplishment, not happening. I didn't practice during the pandemic, did you? Some of you did, I know, but most of us just tried to survive. We tried to keep up with the CDC's recommendations. We tried to keep safe. We distanced. We put things off, but we didn't really have a feeling of accomplishment for anything. And then self-actualization is almost impossible while we're in survival mode. When we're in survival mode, the only thing that matters is that we make it through. We don't have the luxury of feeling good about ourselves. We don't have the luxury of achieving one's potential. It's really, this was just, again, and I use the word a lot, obliterated. Now, Dr. Maureen Klaubke, actually Dr. Maureen O'Brien Klaubke, she's my sister, but she's still a psychologist, licensed psychologist, had this to say about how so many people were affected, which was nearly everyone. At the beginning of the pandemic, I saw people responding with shock as they tried to adjust to the lockdown, and they expended a lot of their physical and emotional energy budget making the adjustment and staying physically safe and healthy, which is right on. I mean, that's right on the nose. There's a great deal of fear around health and even being able to get food and be safe as the lockdown continued. I saw people experience increased isolation, and a lot of people had decreased motivation because it took a tremendous amount of effort to continue with some activities, including music, and a lot of those activities became nearly impossible because they really needed to be in person. And meanwhile, we're in our pajamas, hopefully clean pajamas every couple days, and we're, doing Zoom meetings, dressed halfway up. I gave myself a reverse mullet. I kept the top long and then just shaved off the back so I wouldn't have to wash it because Zoom is just from the front. And we had no idea where we were or when we were or what we were supposed to be doing at any given time. She continues, there was a lot of emotional fatigue as things passed beyond 1 year, and a lot of people experienced depression and anxiety. They're having delayed grief responses now. They're grieving the time that they lost, especially the time they lost in their classes with their friends, with their instruments, with their voices. And some are grieving loved ones who had passed away from COVID. This was a significant traumatic experience. It affected everybody in the world. Now, we're going to talk about motivation and dissuasion. The motivators are going to be what gets the kids into the group, and the dissuaders, that's a really hard word. I should have picked something else. The dissuaders are different things that make it either hard to stay in the group or easy to leave it. There are good reasons to join music ensembles, the ones that we like, the ones that are pure and magical and perfect, possessing a pure love of music, having high musical intelligence, being an integral part of a team, enjoying playing their instrument, and nurturing a competitive streak both as a musician and as a group member. Okay? That's what we all want from our students. Every single one of us. We want the kids in there to be, to be comfortable and happy and fulfilled and want to be music teachers when they grow up. Not so sure about that. But in reality, they're mostly there for the what a lot of people call bad reasons, which are actually pretty great. You have general socialization with a fairly consistent group of awesome people. You guys, you lived through it. The music part, I mean. You knew what it was like to come to Allstate and meet people and play on a level that was so incredibly higher than anything that you've experienced before. Who went to music camp? Yep, thought so. Yep. So we have all these things in common. And the consistent group of people, in general, they were really nice. I'm a horn major, and I have yet to meet more than 2 or 3 horn players that are jerks. You know, in grad school, my horn section would go hiking together. One of us was a chef, so he cooked dinner for us. We hung out when we didn't need to. It was, it was fun. It was really enjoyable. More reasons, being with your best friend or a circle of friends. In high school, I stayed in band because it was right before lunch, and if I could do that, then I could eat lunch with my best friend Jennifer Kwasinski. So that's why I was there at that time. You have a fun class at school. I know it's not supposed to be fun. We don't, that's not a reason to join band, but it's totally a reason to join band. Getting out of classes for lessons and performances was so much fun. Trips. Enough said. Just trips. It looks good on a college application, and it does, and it fulfills a course requirement for arts. And sometimes you can get out of PE because if you're in marching band, you're working a lot harder than anyone who's walking a mile, because we're walking the football field over and over and over. And then my reason for joining, let's see, where is he? That really cute boy who's in the trumpet section that you just want to be in the same room with. Oh my goodness. And that's my kid. He's not just like a random person. Okay. And actually my son, he's over at Concord High School right now rehearsing with mixed choir, which he got into as a freshman. He and everybody in my family is neurodiverse with various things going on, dyslexia, ADHD, hits of autism here and there. He is greatly talented in music. He started by playing video games and singing along with the EDM, the electronic dance music. He does stuff he's not supposed to be able to do until college, but I'm not going to tell him that. So, I don't know where I think I put something in the wrong place, but there's a really good one coming up. Yeah, here we go. Take this in. asynchronicity. The single most lethal issue we face, we couldn't play together. We couldn't synchronize. We couldn't be friends together. We couldn't go on trips together, again with the trips. Some teachers couldn't teach non-kinesthetically. That's one of the problems that I had. I set up my music studio like a TV station, and I tried a couple times, but when you have to go in and adjust ligatures and check to make sure you don't have leaks, it's really hard. It's really hard. So I know a lot of private teachers who just didn't teach. And students devolved and became less mature, and they quit at different rates at different times. Have you noticed a difference in the age of your kids? Not their chronological age, but their mental age? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's across the board, and they don't understand band behavior. They don't understand orchestra etiquette. They talk all the time during choir. Actually, my kid got in trouble for doing that yesterday, but neither here nor there. And those are all situational dissuaders during remote and hybrid learning. Now, the presence of external dissuaders, there were no upcoming tests, chair challenges, concerts, competitions, or auditions. So what are they working for? What are they doing for motivation? Probably not much, if anything. The contraction of COVID in family, friends, or their self took attention away from everything else. And I'm going to say at least 50% of the people that I spoke to had a family member or themselves who got COVID. Now, we're weird. We got influenza A. I don't know how that happened, but we've been very concerned about catching it, as I'm sure everybody has been at one point or another. And this led to family financial problems, especially due to COVID shutdowns. And one of the problems of that, if you're really thinking through this, is parents may have needed to return or sell their kid's instrument when it wasn't being played because they couldn't afford to pay for it. And they certainly couldn't afford lessons. And you can't rejoin a group if you don't have the tool that you use to be in the group. I was going to do a little thing about, have you guys heard of Mendini Beginner Band Instruments? It's the Amazon house band instrument line. I've seen one or two that look pretty good, but they're not repairable. Like if you lose a screw or something, that's it. However, a $99 flute for a kid who needs to just get back before they go ahead and buy their open hold, low B foot, intermediate flute, that's a stopgap that might actually work, and that would be really cool. Yeah, and another presence of external dissuaders is you don't ever get to see that really cute boy. Oh my God, he was so cute. So, post-COVID, or post-restriction, because we're not post-COVID by any means, but post-restriction dissuaders, masked or not, is why many of our students left. Their friends had left, because they're still leaving. It didn't just happen right after hybrid. Their friends had left, they were unable to play or sing with a larger group. They lost advanced opportunities, like Allstate. They lost progress on their instrument, and they were embarrassed about it. And when teachers adjusted expectations, and I don't just mean they played easier music, when they had to go back and redo tuning and all sorts of other basic stuff, some kids were really upset about that. And the kids found it too hard or too easy. Now, as far as being in a smaller group, the students feel exposed, and it causes a lot of students to lose confidence when they're rehearsing and performing. I know that I would much rather play with a couple other people than practice by myself and know that everyone else in my office building is listening. It just is more fun. I just joined the Seacoast Wind Ensemble, and I'm playing with a whole section, and it's heaven. I haven't done that forever and ever. And of course, socialization, which is so important. You can't socialize with peers due to expanded social distancing. And this is really important because we're used to doing everything as band, orchestra, and chorus members and directors and soulmates. It's the only word I can come up with. You can't. I spoke to a former Wildcat marching band member that I ran into at Allstate, and I said, "Hey, marching band, go Cats!" She said, "Oh, I'm not really in it anymore." And I said, "Oh, let's talk. I'm doing a thing tomorrow. Can we talk about this?" And I asked her why she wasn't in marching band anymore, and she said, "I got a taste of free time, and I liked it." Free time. That's all she wanted. Whereas we, I think it's safe to say, just started piling on the extracurriculars in middle school or high school, and we just keep going and going and going and going. So, this is affecting college students as well. And I'm all for college music minors and just other majors, engineering, math, English, whatever, to come and play. I don't want my students to become professional musicians or music teachers because it's really hard. And if they say they want to, I put them through the ringer. All of a sudden it is practice 3 hours a day. You will learn these etudes in the key of E flat, B flat, and F. I'm going to call you up at 6:15 in the morning and you better be warmed up. And then I'm going to send you to a college professor. I really make them fight, and I've still had 5 music majors because they did that. They want to do this stuff, but as soon as you do get a taste of that free time, it's pretty intoxicating. It's really nice to sleep. It's really nice. Okay, so let me grab a drink. Now, this is the Jesse section. This is Jesse. Jesse teaches, he's the director of the Yes Prep Southeast Wind Symphony in Houston and a Music Education Grammy Award winner for being a signature school in 2021. He's also an amazing clinician and adjudicator if you ever need one. This guy's amazing. He taught in Texas for a while, moved to Miami, made a couple $1 million selling high-end real estate, and then came back to his original school to be the band director. So he doesn't have to worry about money, but yet he's there. Now this is like a case study on him. We've spent a lot of time talking. You talk to him once and you're instantly best friends. He's amazing. So this is a case study that provides proof that we can recover, but it will take an incredible amount of energy and dedication on our parts. He only lost 21% of his kids. 21%. In a normal year, that would be horrifying, but for right now, that's incredible. That's just incredible. And that's almost 20% fewer than the next best program, which is remarkable. I saw a video on LinkedIn of Jesse Smith's most recent band concert, and in the video of the performance, Jesse's kids were practically falling off the stage. They really were. There were so many kids. There were 142 out of, I want to say 160, but it'll be in here at some point. I contacted him immediately. He got back to me immediately. I told him what I was doing. I said, I've never seen such a full stage, or at least I hadn't in years, and what voodoo are you doing? And he got back to me. And seriously, get on LinkedIn. It is amazing. The contacts that you'll make, the connections that you'll make. Basically, the trick is anytime somebody is holding an instrument in their profile pic, connect with them and they will connect back. It's really quite amazing as music teachers and musicians. And I made more than 1,100 professional connections within 3 months, and I've gotten to talk to people all over the world about this. I've had plenty of interviews, and I got so much information from these people, and I'm meeting even more friends, which is really nice, because I don't know about you, but I can't have enough friends. So I scheduled an hour-long Zoom meeting with him, and we ended up talking for almost 4 hours. And I could talk about Jesse, his belief system, his education, and his teaching methods for at least an hour or two, but you guys look tired. It's been a long day and you need to get out of here when we're done. So we're going to focus on the most pertinent methods he has to that he's been employing successfully to have such a loyal, self-motivated, cohesive band. His goal is to create a tragedy-proof band. We have not seen the last pandemic in our lifetime. This will happen again. We don't know where, we don't know when, but save your masks because it's coming at some point. Now that it's happened once, it's just going to keep going. He works incredibly hard with his students to make sure every student feels like the most important member of the group. He goes miles above and beyond, and when the next pandemic hits, because we know it will, I believe his program will remain largely untouched. He's building a pandemic-proof group, and that's what we need to start looking at and not just in the way that we're gathering our little sheep back into the fold, because they are part of our tribe and they're important to us. But I think that the house won't fall if the bones are good. You know that song? Yeah. I like country music, I'm weird. His program is going to go on stronger than ever. Now this blew me away. His first words of wisdom, and he is wise beyond years, began with, give them sticky notes. It only works with a sticky note. I'm like, what are you talking about? He told all of his students to write this on their sticky note. Mr. Smith, I need you to know, and then fill it in. Need is urgent and imperative. It's an assignment to do. They will divulge personal information if they believe that you think they are important. If you want someone to stick around, why would they if you don't know what's important about them? The sticky notes ranged from, I like band, and you're a good teacher, to, my dad hits me, to, I'm gay and I've never told anyone. I'm gay and I've never told anyone. And this is somebody coming out for the first time to their band director. And I don't know about you, but that's profound. I tear up a little bit. The amount of trust that these students place in this teacher is astounding, and he never stops nurturing these relationships. He has deep wisdom that I typically only find in much older people. Okay, so wisdom. You get it? Okay, moving on. And thank you for that. I worked hard on it. Your relationships with students matters more than anything you can teach them. Your relationship with them. It is incredibly important. It's challenging to keep them up. We're already working 9, 10, 11-hour days. We have so many kids coming through the door. Sometimes it takes until March or April to learn everybody's name and get in with them personally, but it's worth it. And when Jesse sees students, and anytime he talks to them, he says their name twice, once at the beginning and once at the end. He asks them, where are you from? Where are you going? And the biggest one is, how can I help you? Then they will have all their questions and he answers. And then he shuts the F up and lets them talk. Their first 2 sentences can tell you everything. Then he refers back to that conversation in his next communication. Now, I have no idea how he keeps all of this straight in his head, because it's somewhere around 160 kids, but he's tight with every one of them. And he's been sending we became like instant best friends, and he sends me pictures of his band and videos of his competition and pictures of his dog and stuff all the time. And I listen to them, and they're good. They're really good. because he's in a constant state of recruiting and is always open to beginners of any age. I was shocked, and I mean shocked, when he told me that this incredible band was comprised of 142 students in grades 6 through 12 playing grade 5 music and playing it really well, and he had 16 absolute beginners, my favorite people. I love them. But to start in the beginning of the school year and be playing grade 5, that's pretty awesome. That's really awesome. From 6th grade to 12th grade, that's his student base, and not even one of those beginners had picked up an instrument before the beginning of this school year. By April, they were playing grade 5 music and playing it well with their peers. They received lessons at school with the more advanced students, and they checked in with Jessie periodically. They were really motivated. If you go back to band, or if you start band and you're older, you have to really want to be there. My name is Kate, and I quit band. And most people are a little surprised by that. I played flute in 5th grade, but they didn't know I had dyslexia and I couldn't read music, and halfway through 5th grade it got too hard to play by ear, so I left. But I'll get back to that in a little bit. Jessie makes sure there's consistency in the process of learning music throughout the program. He understands that you cannot just teach music. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. We all know this. So there must be a cross-curriculum aspect, including the basics of math and history. But he also adds things like creative writing into the mix. I mean, this is some next level stuff that he's doing. He teaches the complete child, and he has vowed to not send a mistake into the world, which I really like. He cares, he is spontaneous, he's full of surprises, he is, and I quote, off the wall, and that's exciting for kids. They want to know that they're not going to really know what's going to happen at any given point in time. You know, I wish you could meet him. He's amazing. But the most profound thing that he has taught me was I have to be all in. And unfortunately right now, that's going to mean changing tactics, changing what we've been doing for the last 2, 10, 20, 30, 50 years, and be all in these different roles and during these different activities. And there's an air conditioner vent, and I'm staying here. Yeah. Gen X ladies, you understand? Yeah. Okay, cool. So, and his thriving ensemble and students are just a testament to his methods. The videos that he sends me from rehearsal are just amazing. These kids sound great. They were playing the Gallop, I can't remember who it was by, but they were playing it. 6th graders, beginners, everybody in the group. So, let's talk solutions. And again, I'll be posting this, and I'll add anything we come up with. Crap. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk really fast. So this is the part of the session that you came for, the solutions to this pandemic problem. These are some of the ideas that I received from the approximately 30 music educators around the world who generously shared an hour talking with me online. And I've tossed in some of the ideas that I've come up with while studying all this information. And we're going to spend the last portion brainstorming, or I'll put my email up there, and if you have thoughts, just send it to me. This is an ongoing project. I didn't know I was going to be presenting here, but Parker was at Allstate and I wanted to get in free. And I haven't done anything truly terrifying in a while, so this counts. ADD. My train is off my track. Oh, okay, yeah. Anything you come up with, just email it to me, because this is an ongoing project. I'm going to make it available to everybody in the world who wants it. We need to help everybody. I'm going to try to go to a few more state conferences and do this. And your help is invaluable, because you're working with the kids and you know what they need. So these are going to be what I like to call a 50-10-20 list. Some of these things will work 5%, or I'm sorry, a 5, 10, 20 list. Some of these things will work 5% of the time or get 5% of your kids back, as with 10% and 20%. But if you do several of these actions, it adds up to great change, really great change. How to use relationships to bring back your program. And this is incredibly important. Teacher-student relationships. Did I get the right one? Yep. Anybody know Craig?
Yeah.
Oops. I knew that was going to happen. I even practiced losing my earring. I had to take out my really big piercings to put these in. So, the one that I came up with first was send a handwritten note to the kid saying, hey, I really liked getting to know you. How are you doing? Why did was there a problem with orchestra? Do you want to come talk to me? We really miss you. We really need you. That's incredibly effective, especially handwriting. But just don't do it in cursive because I won't be able to read it. Pull out the lapsed students from classrooms and talk to them. Eat lunch with the former students in the cafeteria or treat them to a pizza lunch. That's always fun. We're musicians. We head for the free pizza. It's ingrained in us. Attend the sporting events, the science fairs, and so on, and be visible. Let the parents see you there. Let the kids see you there. Go up to the parents. I love talking nice behind people's back. I love going to someone else and saying, going to a parent and saying, your kid's amazing, like without the kid even there. And then they'll be able to go back and, talk to their kid and say, this is really cool. And I do it for teachers also. I write them notes and I send them to the superintendent, the principal, the arts director, all of that stuff. It's really kind, and if you ever get the opportunity to do it, it feels wonderful. I do it as Christmas presents for a lot of my teachers, my kids' teachers. And call the parents, and without confrontation, just talk about why their kid dropped and ask if they need help. The last 2 years have been really tough on private music teachers, and I've needed to ask for help, and that's okay. And if they need help, there are resources in the community so that they and the kids can be more comfortable. And never stop. Re-recruit the former middle school band kids or orchestra kids or choir kids because they already have the basis. And maybe they just couldn't join for one reason or another, but now they might have some time. Never stop recruiting. Never. And always be positive. Some days that's hard. And just become a positive resource. They can come to you for pretty much anything. Now, student-to-student relationships, this is really critical. Using student relationships and positive peer pressure are outstanding ways to bring students into or back to their ensembles. Create an overwhelming sense of FOMO. Make it so that they feel like they're missing out on something great. Announce all of the amazing things that are happening in your group. Enlist the more popular or cool or well-liked members to talk to their peers. Speak to the students whose friends have quit to ask them to try to get them back. Have the members talk up the next upcoming event to friends. Hey, this concert's amazing and we're playing this, that, and the other thing, but I really want you in the audience because I want someone there for me. I want a person there. They can take turns announcing upcoming events on the morning announcements. Any events, anything at all, like we're having a scales concert or contest and Susie is in first place and Johnny's in second place and who's gonna win? Stuff like that they're into. Decorate their lockers. The cheerleaders do it for football players. Why not for band kids? I mean, that's really fun. Post a roster of your students in various places in the school. And the title is, Everyone is in Band. Are you? And the kids are going to stop and they're going to look at this list and they're going to say, oh, there's that really cute boy. Or, oh, I didn't know 3 of my friends were in it, and yeah, this looks like fun. You bring the high school ensembles to perform for the middle school. Then you bring the middle school ensembles to perform for the elementary schools. Use the kids. Now, this is a subject, nope. This is a subject very near and dear to my heart for a lot of reasons. Non-traditional beginners. This is my favorite section because after teaching band in Wisconsin for 6 years, I opened up my own teaching studio and then an actual music studio. And now that I'm back in New Hampshire, I have my own brass and woodwind studio in Exeter. Mm-hmm. I do online lessons if you have any kids that need a really good beginning teacher. I specialize in neurodiverse students. They've been called atypical, neurodivergent, and now this week the name is neurodiverse. And you can recruit anybody. My student Marilyn just started lessons with me 3 weeks ago. She is the 70-year-old grandmother of a beginning clarinet student, and her biggest regret is quitting clarinet in 7th grade. There is truly no age limit to start, and I have found across the board that students who start studying at a later age are more motivated and dedicated to their studies because they really want to do this. You know, it's easy to just go along with the crowd in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, but to go in, especially for this, is a harbinger of great things to come. And they'll catch up more quickly than you think, especially with help from you or from older students. Create openings for all the beginners. Like I mentioned, I started flute in 4th grade in 1979. Please do not do the math. And thanks to the undiagnosed dyslexia and ADHD, I ended up quitting in 5th grade. I couldn't read music. I just couldn't. But then I was invited to play in the band to learn to play French horn because they needed a French horn. The teacher said, "Hey, Kate, do this." And I did this. And he hands me this weird looking case. He said, "Go home and learn it." And I did, and it was wonderful. I had been in the show choir, the 7th grade show choir, because they had the trip to UNH Jazz Festival. Again, trips. And I had the support of 2 music teachers and the private teacher they connected me with, and I absolutely bloomed from the attention they were giving to me. And that was when I decided I was going to become a music teacher. And I have never once changed my mind. In class, they sat me next to one of my best friends who played alto sax, the smartest musician in the room, and she basically learned all of the horn fingerings and taught herself enough about the horn to help me feel really comfortable in class. I'm still grateful to her. And with all these supports, I caught up by the end of the year. I was even in the Connecticut Northeast Regional Orchestra that spring. I mean, that's crazy. And at dinner last night with my son and his school friends, who are both seniors, and he's a freshman, I found out that one of his schoolmates, Tate, took choir last year for 1 semester as a junior for arts credit, and he found he loved it. And he is over at Concord High School singing tenor. And I asked him if he was going to go continue at UVM, where he's going in half a year. And he said, "Oh yeah, this is really fun. I didn't know I was so good at this." Awesome. Let's see. I've had extensive experience teaching beginners. I love them so much. They're so much fun. And if you can delete the incorrect behaviors before they get rooted in, they're going to sound like $1,000,000. And because of that, they're going to love you, and their parents are going to love you, and their band directors are going to love you, and you're going to love the people who are teaching them to do that. But if I have 5 kids in the same grade, let's say 4th grade, and one starts in 4th grade, another starts in 5th, another starts in 6th, another starts in 7th, and another starts in 8th grade, every single one of them will be with whomever had started already at the end of that year. Student number 3 is going to be caught up by 3 years. They're older, they've picked up more music just by listening, and they're more interested in doing this. So if you're afraid they're going to be delayed, they're not. They're not. And going in a different direction, you have huge untapped resources at your fingertips that most of you have probably not thought of. For example, students in the vocational program, if you have one at your school, you know, the one where they repair things and fix cars, they often have musical ability. They're efficient at understanding machines, and instruments are basically machines. I mean, a violin is one of the ultimate machines. It's such a brilliant design. And they usually have really good fine motor skills, putting screws on little things. And they continue to try if they can't get something right. I'm all for the vocational schools. I think that's the next thing, you know, when college becomes too expensive, because everybody needs plumbers and everybody needs their air conditioning fixed and so on. Recruit some seniors. They just want to have fun. They've done most of their classes. They just want something fun to do. I think I took 3 music courses and 2 art courses my senior year. And it was really, really fun. This is important. Reach out to students with physical issues. I'm guilty of this too. I will look at someone with an adaptive device or another physical difference and never connect them with the idea of joining my ensemble. Oh, it would be too hard. Oh, there's a bump that the wheelchair can't get over in the band room. I had a 7th grader who was in a car accident and lost both front teeth. Flute. My trombone section leader in my high school jazz ensemble was born with only 3 fingers on his right hand, and his father built him a really simple attachment so he could just like flick it out for 6th and 7th position. And he was the leader of a jazz band where we won Berkeley almost every year. And in graduate school at the University of Louisville, I love this. There was a student, and you may have seen it, he was on CBS Sunday Morning at one point. There was a student in marching band who was paralyzed from the waist down. His father came to every marching band rehearsal and game to push his wheelchair onto the field in perfect formation, and he could barely contain his happiness when interviewed by dozens of news sources around the country. I would have never thought of that. Personally, I don't know how many of you would have thought of that. And, oh, that's early, but you can still look at it. And the one huge intelligence that schools don't bother classifying is musical intelligence. In Gardner's now it's 9 intelligences. I find it ridiculous because in reality, students who are singing and playing music in ensembles are using every single one of their other intelligences, with the exception of naturalist intelligence. I read it as naturist and thought, oh, that's not right. You know, at the same time. The first thing that you can do is talk to the special education teachers. If I was in school now, I would probably be in special education because of the dyslexia and the ADHD and all that. Ask them which students might benefit from learning something new and being in an ensemble. Talk to the kids in their classes and see if any of them are interested. You'll be surprised at how many of them will be excited to be a part of a new group and to learn how to create music. My son and I are perfect examples of this. If I hadn't been invited to join the band, I am not positive that I would have finished high school. So the next thing to do is find your neurodiverse students by either speaking to the guidance counselor or the school secretary and arrange to check through their IEPs or individual education plans for students who are living with any sort of difficulty at all. ADHD, anger issues, anxiety, depression, anything that's going on with them. I found that kids, specifically with ADHD, make outstanding musicians. In my graduate school class of 30 students, we realized that 20 of us were neurodiverse. Most of us had ADHD, which meant study sessions were really fun, but not very productive. And if that doesn't speak volumes to you, I don't know what would. 20 out of 30 neurodiverse with learning disabilities. And I'm sorry, air quotes, I have to not do those. They're so obnoxious. Some other solutions, and again, this will all be on our document.
Is it okay?
Oh.
For 1 second. No, it's okay. Yeah. I just got. If you are trying to get to the elementary honors concert, I think that's going to be down the hall, just because it's 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Just so you can wrap up. Just want to make sure that they all have a chance
Yeah,
to get to that.
I have 3 more minutes left, but I
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
understand.
Because they had kids performing. I just want to make sure they knew.
Believe it or not, this was 4 times longer than it is right now. I've been editing until 10 minutes before this. There's so much to think about and talk about with this. Another solution, join social media as a music teacher. Keep it above board, keep it clean, keep it appropriate. Make sure that you can control the comments, make sure that you can control the replies, make sure that you have full control over everything. But the kids are there. Why not meet them there? You can advertise events on social media from that and local broadcasts. And another fantastic resource that you may not be taking advantage of is UNH. It's a land-grant university meant to educate the populace. So they want to help. Part of their job is to help. And they are deeply dedicated to music education. I can tell you that from the bottom of my very full heart. And they want to do this. They really want to do this. So take advantage of that. Call the front office and go from them. Okay, now, it's going to be hard. You're going to have to change a lot of things. If I had to memorize 100 kids' names, I would go insane because my brain just doesn't do that anymore. But if you can do that, you're going to get more kids in your band. If you can create loyalty situations, you're going to have more kids in your orchestra. If you can create a sense of trust, you're going to have more kids in your choir. And again, numbers, they matter. They really do, unfortunately. And because of that, that was right. We can fix this. We move mountains every day. We can fix this. And it comes along with just lots of different ideas, lots of dedication. It might be a year or two with not a whole lot of sleep. But if you're in your permanent school, your forever school, if you're in a job that you love, it's going to be worth it. Because the next time something like this disaster comes along, you're going to be strong enough that you're not going to lose 60% of your people. And that's really important. We need to keep the kids in there. Their lives are not going to be as rich without it. So, and again, I will fill any of these out. If you have ideas, because I don't want to keep you late, unless you can stay late and are avoiding whatever else is going on right now. Had to think for a minute there. Please, 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 if you have any thoughts, even if they're weird, even if it's only a 5% solution, send them to me. We work so well together, and I'm really sorry that there was so much stuff that we didn't get to much of the brainstorming. Again, unless you want to stay, because I'll stay. I'll write all sorts of stuff. But I'm so grateful that you showed up. So just show up for the kids. And they will repay you 100-fold. I had, to kind of wrap this up, one of my friends from high school jazz ensemble posted a picture of a concert that he was in 2 nights ago. And his wife was in it too. He and his wife met as sophomores in our high school band. A couple of their parents, I'm not sure which ones, are in the same community band. Their daughter and their son are in the same community band. And in about 15 years, the daughter is going to have someone else to join the community band. So this is something that the whole family can be a part of, and intergenerational activities are amazing, and it's a way for families to bond. We didn't really touch on that much, but what we do is magic. And it's not that we're creating the magic. Most of what we know, we're copying from someone else, which is entirely awesome because we still have to remember it and use it in the right place. But we have a really special job, and we're so lucky, and we want to keep this going. So I wish everybody lots of luck with this. Try a couple things, and again, I'll post them. After a few days, I really need to recover. But does anybody have any questions? I love the questions. Okay, anybody have any thoughts they want to put down? You're thinking. Do you have something?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm thinking, I don't know.
Well, again, here's my email address. I think it's in the quarter notes. There's an article teasing this about the quarter notes, and I'm gonna probably submit it to MEJ and see if I can go other places, because everybody needs this. And please send it to your colleagues and your friends and your colleague friends, and ask them to send it farther. I've posted a lot of it on LinkedIn, and I've gotten 1,000 views on this, 900 views on that. It's not Kim Kardashian, but for a random music teacher in Exeter, New Hampshire, that's not bad. So send me any ideas you have, and I will add them to the presentation. I can use your name or not. Some teachers don't want to be seen as possibly rocking the boat or possibly, downplaying their school music program, but I don't need to use your names at all. So, any last questions? Anything at all? Now, do you think you've heard something that's going to help? Yeah? Good. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for coming, and just spread it out everywhere. We all have a ton of friends who are band directors. Make sure this ends up in their hands after a couple days, because I need to recover. And thank you for coming. That's it. And have a wonderful, wonderful rest of conference. And Allstate, I don't know if you've been listening to the rehearsals. Oh my freaking God. The mixed choir director sings soprano better than most of the soprano, and he's a guy.
I heard that yesterday, and I was
Oh.
like, who's singing?
Yeah, oh my God, I want to be in that group so badly.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Kate. That was awesome. It was great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Seriously, I was up in the room just like crossing out entire things, thinking, okay, this will give me 5, maybe 10 minutes.